All right, week 5. So we've got our first exam out of the way. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that in person when we meet for lab this week. But just real quick while it's fresh on our minds. First off, class average-wise, great job, really good. The grades were good. They were really good. I know, having said that, though, you don't give a rip about what the class average was or how many A's, B's, C's, and D's, because the only thing that affects you is what your grade was. So just real quick, run through a couple different categories, see which one describes you best. Number 1, if you did really well on exam 1, then that is awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Just one kind of quick word of caution is that exam 1, just because it had so much intro material, we never got really detailed or really in-depth in anything. I don't think the other tests are necessarily harder, but when we start talking about the organ systems, we're going to get a lot more specific, and there's going to be some terminology that you're maybe not familiar with. So the only reason I'm saying that is if you did good on the first exam, that is huge. That's great. Just make sure you don't let up for the next exam, okay? And for the rest of the exams, okay? All right, number 2, this one should be really obvious, but if you didn't watch the lecture videos and you didn't study or you crammed the night before or something like that, and you didn't do as well as you wanted to on the first exam, let's just call this a learning experience and realize that you're not going to be able to do that again and expect to have a really high grade, all right? That's the great thing about this, is that this is only the first exam. We've got 3 more lecture exams. We've got 2 lab exams. There's so many points left, so however, if you didn't do well on this first exam, whatever your grade was, you still have plenty of time to bring it up and help your average out. So don't panic. Just be really honest with yourself and see what you need to fix, okay? Look at things like, obviously, did I watch the lecture videos? When did I watch the lecture videos? Did you watch them, did you try to watch them all a couple days before the test? That sounds miserable. Don't do that in the future. Make sure whenever I assign them each week that you're watching them. Because I'm not just doing that to give you busy work. That gives you enough time to kind of digest and make sense of all the material. So do that. Don't put it off until the last second. Just study a little bit all the way, and it'll make it where you can understand it a lot better when the test comes around. Okay. All right. Finally, group 3. You studied, you did everything you knew how to do, and your grade did not reflect that. You're like, I don't know what I could have done differently, and you honestly don't have a clue what you could have done differently. If that's the case, see me. Send me a message. Stick around after lab one day, and we can talk about how you're studying, or do you have a lot of other stuff going on when you're trying to study, because distractions can be an issue. I'll try to give you some tips and hints on how you can study and do better in this class, but you got to let me know, okay? Like right now is the time to do that, because first exam, we've got plenty of time to fix any issues. After the second or the third exam, the math kind of starts to catch up with you as far as how many points are left. So just let me know, all right? Okay, so sorry I rambled a little bit about the test, but let's look at this week. So for the lecture video you need to watch is Chapter 6 is the integumentary system, which is your skin. So this is our first organ system that we're going to talk about. But it's not, compared to some of the other ones we'll look at, it's not super detailed. It's not a ton of material. So this is a good one to kind of ease into it. Still study it and take notes. But it hopefully shouldn't be too overwhelming when we're going through this. Watch the lecture videos. Take notes. Make a list of any questions you have while you're watching those videos, and then send me your questions as soon as you're done. And I'll try to help explain it and help it make sense. Okay. Once you have watched that lecture video, you can do the Chapter 6 Learn Smart activity. So we're doing that again for exam 2. Chapter 6, this one will be worth 3 points. And it's due before the first exam. That's going to be the first week in March. So it sounds like it's a ways off. But go ahead and do it now while you're looking at the lecture material. All right? And then for our class meeting this week, we are going to start looking at the skeletal system. Your first lab exam is going to be on the bones and bone markings. So we're going to go ahead, even though we haven't got there in lecture yet, we're going to go ahead and start learning the bones of the skull. Excuse me. I like that. To me, this is one of my favorite parts of the class is getting to do this kind of stuff in lab. Because when you come in, I'll have some sheets of paper printed with all the different bones and bone markings we're going to learn. And just a heads up, it's a long list, and at first it looks pretty intimidating. But we're going to have several weeks to go through and learn this. And to me, it's just fun getting to this big chunk of information that looks like a whole lot, getting to work through it with you. One of the huge things about this being a hybrid class is there's only 10 or 11 students in the lab at a time. So I've got plenty of time to answer every question you have when we're going through these. But this is fun. So number one, like I said, I like it. It's pretty fun. Number two, though, you want to make sure that you are here every single lab, because if you miss one, there's going to be a big chunk of bones and bone markings that you're basically going to have to learn on your own, just because we don't have as much time in this class, since we have to split up into 2 different groups. So make sure you're here, ready to take notes and all that. But that's what we'll do in our lab this week. So Group A will be here on Monday. Group B will be on Wednesday. We'll be in room 117, and that's the lab room that we met on the first time that we met. So we'll be back in there. Okay. Other than that, the last assignment you have this week is the Connect assignment. So you've got another Connect assignment that's open. If it were me, I would wait until after you've attended lab to try to do this, because what that Connect assignment is going to be visual identification of a lot of skull bones. So it'll have pictures of the skull, and you'll have to like drag and drop and label and name the parts of the skull. And I'm not expecting you to know how to do that right now before we do the lab. But if you'll wait until afterwards, that'll be actually a good review for you to make sure you learn the lab stuff. Be in class and learn it with me, and then you can do the Connect assignment, and that'll be a good chance to kind of reinforce it. And remember, those Connect assignments are worth 10 points apiece, and you can keep taking them over and over until the due date, until you get 10 out of 10. So make sure you do that. It should be a really good way to kind of reinforce what we're learning in the lab. All right? If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you on lab day.